Hey, it's Cliff, and this is going to be a follow-up to the worst Dave Ramsey call that I have ever watched. Now, if you haven't seen that video, I will link it down below, and then I'll try to put it in YouTube links up here as well. You're gonna need to watch that video so you get the context of what this video is actually about. So in this video, I'm gonna give you my response to what she actually should have did. There was actually a follow-up by Dave Ramsey himself, so I'm gonna put in some footage and some of his ideas as well, what they should do to take care of her. And in the comments, hopefully we can brainstorm some really good ideas on what kind of plan she should have for herself to take care of herself. Now, I saw quite a few comments on this last video, like this one from Isaac, who says, so instead of just saying how bad the advice is that they are giving, what advice would you have given her? Or this one from Frank, who says, and your advice was? And I'll give you, that is really good feedback. I normally do give the financial advice in the video. However, I was so shocked by the bad advice that they were giving in this call that I completely forgot to give advice of my own. Normally, George Camel would give some decent advice, but I think he was having an off day, and this was just the worst advice that I'd probably seen ever on the Dave Ramsey show. So I forgot to give my advice. The video was getting long and I kind of cut it short, but this is a good comment to remind me that, yeah, I should have given some financial advice there. So just to set up what we're dealing with, we have an 86-year-old lady. She has $30K in credit card debt that keeps compounding every month because she's going over her budget. Now she's getting $1,200 in Social Security, but she's spending about $1,400. So she's definitely outside of her budget. That money keeps going on our credit card, which the interest rate is astronomical, of course, and she's compounding this debt and she's very worried, she's very scared, and she calls into the Ramsey show to try and get some advice on what to do. One other important thing to note is that she has a paid for house, so that is definitely good in her favor. So the advice that I'm gonna give, a lot of people might not like because it's gonna require government assistance. I know people are gonna say, oh, well, she should have planned for her retirement, she's doing terrible, or they're taking our tax money, or whatever, which, okay, I understand she should have planned for her retirement. She should have planned better in her budget. She should have money. She should have taken care of herself a little bit better. I absolutely agree, but she's 86, and morally, I feel like if they're going to take tax money from us, I want it to go to ladies like this who are 86 and worried. That's just a moral thing. I think we should take care of our elderly. You can feel free to disagree with me. So first thing that I'm going to have her do is hop on the Social Security website, and she's already getting Social Security. Like I said, she's getting $1,200 a month, but she can apply here for SSI. So there is a calculator down here to determine if you are eligible. And so I'll come here. She's an adult. She's not working. She's not earning any additional income there, but she does get $1,200. So you can click hit see results. It'll give you this prompt here. So right off the bat, it'll tell her, based on these numbers, you don't meet the income requirements for SSI. And the reason why she doesn't qualify is because of this bullet here. It says get less than $963 per month from non-work related sources, like that would be her Social Security. However, it does say at the top, results from this tool are not final. To confirm eligibility, you must apply. So this is gonna work from a case-by-case basis. She still needs to go through and apply. And the reason why I would suggest her to apply is this number 3 bullet down here. It says, number 3, you have a disability or are age 65 or older. So if we skip down, it says, if you have a disability, you'll also need to prove you've earned less than $1,550 from work per month in the month that you're applying. But the caveat here is why I'm telling her to apply. It says citizens ages 65 or older don't need to have a disability to get SSI. So with that said, she is making $0, and when it comes from non-work sources, she is still under this $1,550. So that right alone will fix the problem in her budget. If this doesn't go through for whatever reason, you know, you're working with government programs. These programs are very tricky to get and not very helpful a lot of times, very bureaucratic. We'll move on to the next one. So again, she's making $1,200 from Social Security. She needs about $1,400 in her budget to not be in a deficit. So all we gotta do is fill that $200 hole to make her complete. So moving on to the next thing, we could ask her to apply for food stamps. Now she's probably spending at least $300 on food stamps, and I'm not sure exactly what they would give her. I'm assuming it's probably about 300 bucks or more. She only needs 200, so that would be incredible for her budget to have a little bit over in case she runs into issues with her dog or whatever she needs money for. So if you go to the website here, you can see it says, see if you qualify. We'll click that, and it's going to ask you questions about Medicaid and temporary cash assistance as well. But mainly we're looking at SNAP right here. This is what she needs to fix a line item in her budget, give her a little bit more room, and hopefully not put her in a deficit. So I'll hit agree. It's going to ask how many people are in your household. It's just one person. So we're gonna hit one, hit next. And she is older than 65 and disabled because she, remember, if you look back in the call, she does have leukemia. Not to mention she's 86. She probably has a number of disabilities that will qualify her for this. It asks you here to select if someone in your household is receiving SSI, which let's just say for this instance that she was denied in the last one and now she's trying to apply for food stamps. So we're not gonna check that. She's not receiving long-term care. She's not getting Medicare. So none of these apply, right? We'll hit next. It asks her, how much do you make? So we're gonna go in and we're gonna put monthly, and she makes nada. She's making no money. Next question, how much money do you get from other sources like her Social Security? So we're gonna put her Social Security in here. That's her 1,200, and she gets paid monthly. And then how much do you have in checking and savings? Well, she's 30 grand in debt, so we're just gonna say that's zero. How much do you pay in shelter each month? We'll just say zero. I'm sure she has some expenses with her house, but I'm just trying to make this easy because she does have a paid for house. Do you pay for heating or cooling separate for rent and mortgage? Yes. I'm sure she pays utilities. Do you pay 2 more utilities that are not heating or cooling? Let's just put no to go through this. Do you receive payment? Nope, we don't receive that. How much do you pay each month for childcare? She does not pay for childcare. How much do you pay each month for child support? She doesn't have child support. Is the household billed for a telephone? I'm sure she probably has a telephone. So we'll get our results down here, and it shows us that she does not qualify for temporary cash assistance, which I kind of figured because she has a little bit of income from the Social Security, she's not going to get that. However, you see the check mark here. She does qualify for SNAP, which is just food stamps, right? So that's going to help her clear up a line item in her budget. And just to look at the bullet points, it says to be eligible for SNAP, all adults age 18 to 59 must agree to register for, look, and accept work. She's 86, so she doesn't need to register for work, which is exactly where we wanted to keep her. She's 86, she doesn't need to be working. And then it says you may be required to participate in SNAP employment and training program if you are able-bodied age adult. But because she's 86, again, she doesn't need to do that. So this should just help her out. It should just give her money. It should put her out of being a deficit every month in her budget. Now, there was another good comment here that I read. It's from Don. It says, I'm a conservative and I started listening to Dave Ramsey in 2006. He changed my life, but this is BS advice. Stop paying on the credit card. She should be getting Meals on Wheels. If you don't know what Meals on Wheels is, it's just like an assistance service where people volunteer to go give meals out to the elderly. You know, it should be free for her at this age, which that's a pretty good option. She could get Meals on Wheels, but because she's still getting around with a car, I would prefer her to get SNAP. You know, she can still get out, move around. It's healthier for her than to just kind of sit inside her house and have these meals delivered to her. I actually did this when I was in the military. For people who don't know, when you're in the military, they actually encourage you to volunteer quite a bit. It kind of builds community relations with the military. It gives good perception of service members, right? So my thing was to be a Meals on Wheels person. And when I go out to these homes, you could tell that the people weren't really getting out a lot. So in an instance where if you're disabled and you cannot move outside of your house, yeah, it's very important to have that. I think that's a good idea, but I would prefer her be able to get out, mingle with some people, talk to some people, you know, even if it's just the cashier. I think that's better for her mental health. But Meals on Wheels is a good source if our government decided to deny her a benefit that she's entitled to, which, you know, wouldn't surprise me. That's a good option as well. Now, there were a lot of people that were upset that I said that she shouldn't pay off this debt, and I still hold firm that I don't think she should pay off this credit card debt. There was a comment that said that if she doesn't pay off the credit card debt, potentially they could place a lien on her household. It's highly unlikely, but yes, you are right. They could place a lien on her household, but they're not going to take her house from her. And by the time the house is actually being sold and the credit card companies are coming to make good on that lien, I think she's going to be gone. So I don't think that's really going to be a big deal. I don't see him foreclosing on her house and taking it away from her anyway.
So prioritizing your budget when you're in that kind of a situation, say, first thing we do is eat, food's first, lights and water second, house payment or house
property taxes, and insurance,
anything associated with shelters third, transportation if there is any fourth, clothing, you shouldn't need many clothes in this situation, and then you pay other bills. If you're out of money after you eat and pay your lights and water, you just don't pay the other bill.
Don't pay the creditors
until you figure out something to do to pay them. And that could be selling the house. It could be the kids chip in and start working with a credit card company. It could be you just let the cards go into default.
Lori says she should probably do a reverse mortgage because she'll always be negative cash flowing. I think with the examples that I gave you up front, she will not be negative cash flowing, but she could do a reverse mortgage to take care of the debt. However, to do a reverse mortgage, that has to be her primary residence. And as I listened back to the call, I think she's pretty close to heading to a nursing home. That's not to be mean, but reality is she's 86, she has leukemia, and I think the nursing home is probably not far in her future. So yes, if she stays there, that would be an idea. It's a good idea. Don't think I'm knocking it. I think it is actually a good idea. But the more I listen, I think she's probably not gonna be in that house very much longer. There was another comment too, and I can't seem to find it now. I think YouTube actually deleted it in their spam filter, so I can't go back and reference it, but it said something to the effect of them disagreeing when I said she should move in with her daughter because it would take away her independence. Now, when I looked at their username, they seemed like it was more of a Middle Eastern name, and I think what it comes down to is that might be a cultural difference. Now, obviously, I'm not speaking for everybody of certain cultures, but this is kind of controversial, but what I see, and this is just what I'm seeing with my own eyes and my family as well, is that white people in their culture, when they become too old and they cannot take care of themselves, they go to a nursing home. That's just what I'm seeing. And it's not just white people, but the caller, I'm pretty sure she was an old white lady. I'm just being honest. She was probably an old white lady. So what I see typically with elderly white people is they go to a nursing home. It is an independence issue. It is very common that in a white family, from the moment you hit 18, it is time for your parents to kick you out. They push you out into the world and they say, it's time to go figure it out. You need to have some life failures and become an adult. And a lot of times they do this without a lot of support from mom and dad. That's just what I see. That's how it is. I see that a lot. It was happening in my family. You know, that's just pretty common. Obviously, I don't speak for everybody, so don't try to say that all white families do this, but that is the culture that I see in white working class families. Now, on the flip side of that, that also means you need to take care of your own retirement, and if you don't do that, you're in this lady's situation. You will see elderly white people live on their own until it is a danger to themselves. You'll see them driving until they have a terrible accident and people take their driver's license away from them. That's just how it is. They want to maintain their independence for as long as they can, as long as possible, right? And if you move them back in with their son or daughter, that might kill them. I can speak from experience. If my dad had to move back in with me right now, that would crush him. He will be kicking around until he absolutely has a medical condition that he has to go to a nursing home, or if he just so disabled he can't take care of himself anymore. That's just what I see. Now, the flip side of that, my wife is from Asian culture. It's rooted in them that they need to take care of their parents, right? So if her parents decided that they, I don't know, were retired and they wanted to move in with us, they would not see that as a problem. They would say, well, we raised you. It's your turn to take care of us now. And they wouldn't feel any shame from that, where compared to my dad would feel a great amount of shame. I'm not saying one way is right or wrong. It's just a cultural difference. So that's where you see me immediately come back and say, no, let's not take away her independence, because I think that ultimately would be bad for her. And for the final comment here, we have one from Nicholas. He says, very insensitive to say she's about to die so many times. You have no idea about her health, and I'd like to hear what you think she should do instead of just saying that their advice was so bad. Well, Nicholas, there's my advice. Hopefully that helps. And when it comes to saying that it's insensitive, saying that she's gonna die, and that I don't know about her health, if you listen to the call, she says she has leukemia. She's also 86 years old. We can put 2 and 2 together. I'm not trying to shame her, but the reality is statistics are not good, right? I'm not making fun of her, but if we're going to have an actual conversation on what she should do with her finances, it should be planning for her end of life. It should be, how long do we actually need to plan for to get her to where she needs to be, right? It's not a shame thing here. And just to close it up, Dave Ramsey did a response and he actually agrees with me. So here you go.
And now I'll be the cold one and let everybody pile on me too, because that's what happens around here. But if you're 86 and you're a leukemia recovering patient, statistically, 4 years would be a long time to live. And by then, they're not going to get around to doing anything if you just quit paying them. But cut up the credit cards and stop using them, because continuing to use them with a plan to not pay them and die in debt is would be stealing. So you can't do that with integrity, but you could just stop paying them. They shouldn't have loaned an 86-year-old broke person money. So that's what they get. You could just default on it. And she dies with it. When she dies with it, the house will be sold and the credit cards will get paid before any money is distributed to her kid, who she has personality issues with.
So that's pretty much all I got. If this was enjoyable, if you like this video, this kind of thing back and forth, please like and subscribe. Please consider hitting up the Patreon. I'm trying to build a coffee business, and getting that off the ground is not easy. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching.